How we doing out there, y'all? I hope all is well. I hope all is finding some type of settling in the meaning of your life, settling into some off and off peace in your life, and then the chaos in your life, accepting certain types of quote unquote universal chaos, end quote, within a universal order, most respectively. And a couple of touch points here is like we have to work within different layers of ourselves to reach some type of capacity of openness with boundaries. And if we don't have that openness with boundaries, then as it is, we're working with a very unique layering of trauma, because that trauma, for better or for worse, it closes us off from what's kind of more or less already there, as far as how we can be open to what's there for us, but we're not necessarily on par with what's there for us if we're more so open, because we either have a particular type of boundary or we either have a particular type of trauma in where we don't want to interface with what's available to us based on the lack of openness, based on how we're regulating and working with our traumas, simultaneously our boundary, exercises. And I don't want to be like a hoot off the old horn, but like the underground shit, way, way, way more raw. It's touching upon everything like in a raw, authentic, like just, get it out type of way, like it touches upon like, it all, and shout out to everybody else doing that, just like to have the courage to have a private container to speak about just anything, right? So I wish I could go back to my notes here, and maybe the innovation, it will do that. And a little sandstorm just occurred. That was pretty cool. But going back to the notes, reflecting the notes, what certain notes are saying is the other side of conflict. It doesn't. We don't necessarily have to oppose everything, with our mental aptitudes, right? But a different facet of conflict, why conflict could or could not be there, is because we're trying to set a certain standard for ourselves, a very particular standard in which our individual perspective, most respectively, energetically, is connecting to a real, tangible, bigger picture perspective to see how there are just standards, general standards that could be in effect, And there was another note I put in the in the Gmail drafts that I wanted to touch upon, and maybe I'll write it in the little summary description box. But the conflict is there. Oh yeah, and the third note is like, on a low key surface level, within our condensed layers and our uncondensed layers, on our surface level human to other surface level humans, based on our level of shadow work we've done or lack thereof, and how casually the light still gets emitted through the shadow work that's done or not done, because simultaneously the light and shadow, they're always there, as we already obviously know that. As we're interacting with people in the surface level arena, we're casually low-key on a surface level, we're bringing our own shit out to the other people, and we're doing a low-key surface level mini activation based on our levels of dark and light, because our shadows are gonna kind of like be there, and they're gonna like energetically, they're gonna interact with other shadows, and then our light is gonna interact with other lights. So based on our lack of balance or balance thereof, we're gonna activate that balance within other people, and that other, that surface level, that exterior type of mechanism of just the interaction with the outside world, that's going to do a surface level mini activation, because we're low key bringing our own stuff out into other people, and other people, like we're bringing out our own stuff in other people, and other people are bringing out their other stuff in us. So within us bringing that out, it's up to us to do a surface level balance mechanism of self as best as we can in this, complex, matrix of quote unquote angels and demons, end quote, in a whole mature esoteric context, of course, mind you. And within that, as we work within the light and the dark, we upgrade our standards, our openness, and our boundaries. The openness and the boundaries, that being the esoteric standard, for us to like see how we could interact with the outside world based on the different esoteric phases of growth maturation, right? Because we're always building within ourselves. So like, it's just, I think the whole like quote unquote spiritual path, end quote, is just learning how to behave, and no one's really telling you that, but it's kind of hinted. It's like life is showing you that in a slow quote unquote painful way, end quote. Because in the crux of it all, we're also like, the trauma is like synonymous with some type of pain, right? No one could see or feel the pain that you go through, and the pain and the trauma are more or less one and the same and different. They're synonymous. So within that pain and the trauma, people could relate to it, but they don't have to, And since they don't have to, the whole path of just life is just knowing how to behave and act, and and let the bigger picture mechanism mechanics do their shit. Because once that bigger picture mechanism mechanics do their shit, then we don't have to take on the bad blood of things, because other people's shadows are their own shadows, and their lack of light, or their light thereof, is their own light, But you need some type of balanced light to operate in the surface level balanced mechanics of just 3D external reality, right? You can't just like go to a fucking job and bring your whole shadow in it. No, there's standards and regulations in the balanced like surface level realms of like light and night, 3D and 4D kind of intermeshing, right? The light and night, that those collective emotions and thoughts are in 3D and 4D, and they're animating the 3D and the 4D matrix, right? And I know, like, I know I need to clean myself up, obviously, but the other side of conflict is like the esoteric standards of just how you want to be with what you already are, And I keep, I did like a quality like 30 minutes, probably 40 minutes, like underground, like within like in between the last public video and this public video, and it was just on some raw fucking shit, dude. Like it was just full-fledged, pretty much. It was like taking into account like more graphically, explicitly, like the Vedic systems, and how like other species are doing shit on the Vedic systems, and then a deeper perspective of the reincarnation mechanics. So it was just that whole type of stuff, and I just do this to like, I just show up to like stand as a beacon of balance for myself in the future, because obviously it could look one way to one individual, it could look one way to another individual, but I'm still showing the universe like I'm like still like doing this shit, and I'm trying to understand like, why things are the way they are, And there's a bunch of pine cones right there. All is self, within its own practice of it. And the three main points I wanted to touch upon was like, we're working with some type of openness, but boundaries and new learnt behavior, right? That was the third point. And then the first point was, the other side of the conflict was we want things to be a natural, balanced way that suits our fitting, the standard, the standard, And then the other point was there too, obviously in the mixing. I'll put it in the summary description, which was Also seeing just the casual different just very niche influence. Oh yeah, the second point was we're bringing our, like, based on our lack of shadow work or shadow work thereof, and it being a quote unquote endless process, end quote. We're our shadow is subtly sub influencing towards the outside world, on a very swift mini activation. Our, like, level of shadow work or lack thereof, it's esoterically provoking other people outside on a subconscious to subconscious level, whether we know that or not. So that's very important to kind of like ground in. And yeah, I'll be back. This whole Archangel Umbriel channel is like, seeing where, like, the moon is at, and Uranus is at, and Uranus is still in Taurus. So that whole Taurus dynamic, that whole, like, the influence of Uranus being a different layer of otherworldliness. That otherworldliness is activating into our solar body, or our quote unquote astrological body, end quote, if that's one word you would like to give it. And within that, Uranus is activating a certain mechanism within us on how we're revolutionizing and having a whole new abstract way on how to have a new voice and have the depths and the origins of our voice. So Uranus shining the moon is like, we could really have a gift to see our original voice, us feel into, like, how people just have their individual perspective and they're out of sync with the bigger picture respectively. And now, to compensate astrology, that we could now, like, see casual Capricorn aspects, see how we could, like, what's really bringing, what's really what energies are really conducive to bring 10th house traditional energies of just the ancestors building the matrix, right? So within the ancestors building the matrix, now we have a compensatory, like, grand earth trine. What does that mean? The grand earth trine, seeing the aspects within the earth zodiac signs, and seeing within compensation astrology, there's activations in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, activations within Mercury, Moon and Mercury in Virgo, and then the other casual synastry, there's Capricorn. So within that grand earth trine, we can now use that earth element to make ourselves anew, right? So within making ourselves anew, we're, like, seeing the grand earth trine in compensation astrology, where there's particular activations within Uranus, otherworldly influence, revolutionizing our voice within just the casual solar system template of astrology. Moon in Virgo, us feeling in to certain types of energies of conflict and opposition, and how we, to solve that moon in Virgo conflict energy, we could have more consideration on how it's just like there are other ways to go about things. It's not just it's not a one size fits all type of shit. And if we could understand that, we could ease out of the conflict and we could slide into some type of tranquility within just seeing like how we're all, like, we're all uniquely different. And if we don't honor that unique difference, then how do we expect to how do we expect the outside world to honor our uniqueness, So I'm gonna conclude it right there, and I'm just grateful, sending gratitude to the outside world. And I don't know if the audio came clear, but thank you.